like to open the Board of Education Policy and Bond Committee meeting on Thursday, September 22nd. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Outlaw, would you like to do a roll call?
Sure. Mr. Travel?
Here.
Mr. Travel?
Here.
Dr. Krebs?
Here.
Mr. Stahl?
Here.
And Ms. Mitchell?
Here.
Thank you.
Moves us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
I'd like to throw on one if I could.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to put one, add to the agenda, board reports for tonight, wherever you want to put it. And then also, future action stage, I'd like to get something for maybe the next full board meeting after we do the board report.
Do you want to put it in for future and we discuss it then there?
That'd be a good idea, if that works for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
So
future.
board
and
report / future action.
Our topic.
I have a couple of them. One is this, the marijuana and the effects on students and some stuff that's going on that. And then the other is some new information I've got on a robotics group from grade school, middle school, and high school. And then I might have one other thing, but that's it.
Mr. Calvin, can I just ask for a clarification?
Yes.
On the marijuana? Specifically, you wish to discuss the resolution from the board
Correct.
regarding marijuana, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had spoken
Thank you.
earlier to administration on that. There's a copy of our resolution. I wanted to review that. And we did speak about it briefly at the last board meeting. We all said, let's stay with that. And then if we decide that that's what we're going to stay with, but I had brought some new information tonight, which is pretty important for youth. And that's what I wanted to review. So
So we're not going to actually be discussing the information that you provided though, right?
we're going to be discussing the written information.
The resolution.
The resolution itself is, up for I think we'd wait for a full board in future. Like I said, not trying to pass anything different than what we already have.
But we won't be discussing what was provided in the email earlier, correct?
Yes, we will be.
Not today though, right?
My plan is under board reports and for future, yes, that's what I'd like to discuss it.
I thought we'd have to talk about it in terms of the
So
resolution. I thought we were talking about things.
Right.
things that's discussed in that would have to be within the context of either reaffirming the resolution,
Okay.
revising the resolution, or the third would be if you wish to share collectively some sort of letter to the editor. Those were the three things that were,
Responding back to us.
So then in terms of the agenda, would that be under for future action?
It's fine with me.
sorry.
The point is though, what we have is we have information that's statistical information that's something for discussion, in my opinion. And it's brought to me at a pretty high level of importance. And I think it's relative to students. It's not necessarily to change this, but it's for discussion. And then again, if we're going to, obviously we've already at this point reaffirmed what we already did in the resolution. And I'm comfortable with that, what we have there. This new information that we have is relative to students and well-being of teenagers. And it doesn't mean we're going to change anything we've already done. It's information I want to bring as a board member under board reports. And like I said,
Yeah, because you're not really looking for any type of action. You just
not,
want to have a
again,
discussion
we're
on
going to,
future action.
under future, and I think that's fair.
All right.
It can be discussed. And then, like I said, definitely we want to be reaffirming what we've already done. And I think that falls within the parameters of what a board member can bring. And I'm not trying to, again, do anything different. So I think,
Just to work with it, so we'll go for future action, letter B, discussion on the resolution of the board on the topic of marijuana.
Fine.
Does that work?
Marijuana resolution, yeah.
Marijuana.
You need the resolution in there.
I did, I said resolution,
Okay.
discussion of the resolution.
Okay.
and then I have this other information, but we're reaffirming what we have already done. And if we're going to do any more than that, or if we can.
Okay, but the we're not going to be putting up on the slide all the information that you provided tonight.
Absolutely, we are.
I thought we can't.
That's not, the information is provided to me to provide to the school board members so you know how it affects teens. Now, we don't want to hide that information. do we?
Well, I'm not saying hiding, but we have 2 members that aren't here.
Well, that's okay. They got it emailed to them. We're not going to change anything we're doing. We just want to concrete what we're doing, and then they can review it. And if they want to, if we're going to change this, and let's say we're going to make this stronger. We're not looking to make it weaker.
So if I will, in your discussion of letter B, which is going to be discussion about resolution of the board on topic of marijuana,
Yes.
you'll discuss that stuff.
Yes.
And that'd be in your presentation or your discussion.
We're just going to review these slides, and there's CDC stuff, information about teens and how, and no different than what's really already in here. Is that right? Should that be all right?
Yeah, I think I think any discussion that has to do with the proposal needs to be within the context of the resolution.
It is, because it talks about
Reaffirming or
depression.
adjusting it.
Yeah.
And perhaps if you're looking beyond that, maybe talk about items that you may wish to share in a letter to the editor.
Right.
Or something like, I think if
To
that's,
make an act, to have some kind of action, because the
if
point is.
you're going beyond this, I think that might
Which I would
be.
like, obviously, the board to consider that, where we would, but I can talk about in the for future part, but where we would consider agreeing to do that, where we'd come up with a letter to the editor that we agree on regarding this topic. But the reality is that there's a lot of information coming in, and it kind of is, it's parallel to what we've already said in here. It says depression and lead to serious mental health issues, and it's all cited in our resolution already. This information is in addition to what we have. So I'm bringing that forward.
So if it's already cited in a resolution, why would we need to discuss it again?
Because we never discussed it the first time. We reviewed it, we agreed to what's on this piece of paper, but you didn't see statistical data that backs it up by the CDC and by these other very informative articles that can become public knowledge supplied by a board member. It becomes part of our board packet.
But we have a resolution that's already opposing.
Before we go any further, excuse me, let's get this on the
Thank you.
books, and then we'll have this discussion. So there's a motion on the table. We'd go into future action, letter B, for a resolution, discussion on a resolution of board on the topic of marijuana. Do we have a second? Yeah, support. Support. All those in favor, say aye. 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 All those not in favor?
Nay.
The ayes have it. So we'll have that for discussion in future action. Approval of the agenda.
Do we need to add,
So moved by Mr. Trombley. I'm sorry.
Do we need to add that?
Pardon? What did you have?
is there another for future that we need to add?
I think that's the only future action that needs to be added.
Oh, she's talking about the articles, papers that you wrapped up, Mr.
Oh, Health Ox.
We were gonna cover that.
Under the other project updates that's connected to the STEAM project.
Yep.
But thank you, though.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Oh,
As amended. Thank you, Mr. Trombley. Second it, Mr. Conley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All the nays? Ayes have it. That moves us to call a public. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak to the board? Do you think you have filled out? I want to be one person. Thank you, sir. Sure. Mr. Rangat, is that, am I saying that?
Yes, sir.
You know the rules.
Yep,
3
yep,
minutes.
we're good. Call me Jason.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello, Brighton School Board members. I would like to say thank you for having Officer Bell, Mitchell, and Deputy Schuster for being at our schools. I hope that the school board will always give them the tools and the resources they need to do their jobs and keep them and our kids safe. Please always listen to their advice and concerns since they are on the front lines, knowing what works and what doesn't work. Because rebellion, the Bible says, 2 Corinthians 3, the minds were blinded. 2 Corinthians 4 says, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, the veil. There's a blindness over the minds of the leaders and politicians. The Bible teaches Jesus Christ. He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Outside of Christ, there's no ultimate truth. DEI SEL needs to be eliminated, violates Article 1, Section 26 of the Michigan Constitution. It's unconstitutional in our schools to have discrimination to give preferential treatment over one race or the other. DEI SEL positions are unconstitutional. Our students need to be taught academics and skilled trades to have a great future for our kids. Everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should be respected equally. Any kid who bullies another kid for any reason should be suspended from the district permanently. American Constitution civics should be the foundation taught here for the next generations to know that our government doesn't get to act the way they did throughout 2020. The Florida Public Education sent a memo to K through 12th grade schools. I gave each of you a copy of this memo explaining Title IX guidance is not law. Let's rescind Horacio Sanchez's teachings, beliefs taught in Brighton schools. He is a controversial figure that has nothing to do with educating our kids in math, science, reading, writing to make our kids successful after graduating from Brighton schools. Let's rescind the policy of letting teachers' unions have an office within the school, which is breaking state law. When is the school board going to take action and remove the union out of the school? Please, someone from the school board address this issue tonight, since the board is talking about policies. Parent-based school board members are what we need at Brighton schools, a parent partnership, not a union takeover of schools. Does anyone remember when the teachers union was fighting for our kids' constitutional rights to be unmasked to protect our kids' health, fighting to stop healthy quarantines to keep our kids in school to get an education? When the health department was implementing mandates, recommendations, and guidelines onto the Livingston County school kids with no peer-reviewed, replicated studies backing up their reckless actions? Nope. I sure don't remember the union looking out for the health, welfare, and safety of our kids in the school year of 2021-2022. It's time to give the teachers union the boot out of the schools. There needs to be a safety nets and protocols in place that never again should our kids in Livingston County schools ever be put through the hell again, being forced to wear masks and placed on healthy quarantines with no peer-reviewed replicated studies backing up these reckless actions. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board? Seeing none, move to bond topics. Mr. Engelter? I'm going to turn it over to Bernie.
Okay, just to start off with, the thought was that we get an update on where we're at with the field house today. And I can pull up, you have in front of you, you have the chart that Bernie has provided for us with some timelines and answer some board questions. But we thought we'd talk about the field house first and then just get a overview of some of the other projects that are still work that's not completed, and maybe get some updates and answer board member questions on those as well. So
what's the objective of this meeting tonight?
well, I think step one, first part of it is to get the board up to speed on the timeline regarding the field house. And I think that's,
The timeline's changing field house?
well, they're going to provide it right now. And
What's the other objective then?
other objective is to get an update for the board regarding projects that are underway, that it's work that's not completed. Within that, there's a steam furniture package that we've received from T2 Design. And that would be, we would wish to get some feedback from the board on timing of when you can look at that. And then the fourth thing is to take our sixth look at the policy transition, final look before it goes for a vote on October 10th, hopefully. Obviously, this would be the sixth meeting. So those are the objectives tonight.
But my point is the dates that you're going to discuss tonight are dates that should have been met a long time ago. Is that correct?
So I think the indoor practice facility, I think we should listen on the indoor practice facility and answer questions.
Okay, what about, let's set the indoor practice facility, because again, I don't mind coming here and meeting, but why are we going to come here to meet and just say that we're being delayed even longer? And what's going to happen about it? Obviously, nothing's happened so far, so I'm not anticipating anything happening moving forward. So that's my point. Why are we even here?
All right, Bernie, you want to start a field house?
Okay, I think on the field house, what everybody's concerned about is the opening of the field house, and I understand that. And I think everybody's aware that the biggest issue that we were having was the delivery of an electrical panel. We did not, it's been moved 3 times. Shipping date from Eaton to manufacturer. This panel is manufactured in Mexico somewhere, I'm not exactly sure where, but, so that's been the big driver of what's been, putting that, November 19th open house kind of in jeopardy.
What was the date the panel was ordered?
I wish I knew that for you. I don't have that answer for you, but it was ordered some time ago.
I don't know this for certain, but it sticks in my head. I know it was a year ago. It was like October of 2020.
It's been ordered for quite some time. It's been
Design engineering was done, the panel was ordered.
design engineer. Yes.
Correct.
Yep. It's been,
You'd estimate 12 months out for the time on it.
Yeah, we're currently, for a lot of our jobs right now, anything new, any electrical gear or panels like that, we're basically putting in 12 to 14 months lead time for all those panels and gear and all the electrical work. That's what industry is telling us right now. So obviously that probably wasn't the story back a year ago because we originally had a
Clearly
date of
wasn't.
July.
Yeah,
I think
clearly
it was
wasn't.
July.
There's-
Yeah.
three design or 3 delivery dates postponed. So
So is that gonna interfere on the 19th?
So as of today, we've gotten I guess a verbal.
we have a confirmation through the supply house that's contacted the factory in Mexico that the panel has shipped. As surprising as this sounds, Eaton, the factory in Mexico, cannot confirm a shipping status. That is actually their response. It was questioned 3 times. They cannot confirm a shipping status that typically will leave a Mexico plant and may show up within a week or within a month. It was questioned multiple times because I figured that would come up today. That was the answer I was given from the supply house, that the supply house asked the Eaton factory.
So what's
In
the
Mexico.
solution if it doesn't get here?
I don't have another solution if it doesn't get here.
So we don't have an opening then?
That's a possibility, yes, sir.
And is that really the holdup right now? Because there's still how much time do we have for that panel?
After the panel, for the building, there's several weeks. There's work going on in the building right now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But so far, weren't we supposed to have this track in?
So we looked at the materials for the tracker there. I have given out the sequence for the installation of the track and to all of the equipment installers, the turf, the track. When they went to start last week, or actually Monday, I was informed that it didn't make any sense to put the track in before the base of the field because it might get dusty. This sequence has been out there for 6-7 months. Nobody brought anything up and now that they brought it up, I said, yeah, that probably does make sense. So the materials are there right now. In response to that, we have the base of the materials starting on Monday.
Was it supposed to start this week?
No. It was actually supposed to start October 1st. They are now going to be starting next Monday.
Okay.
They got to put in the wood nailers and material start being delivered on Wednesday. That should be done by the October 10th.
What's taking them so long to do inside of out of the weather track?
Right now, because of what I said, they're holding up on the track right now until we get the base down so there's no dust that migrates onto the brand new track.
Well, why is it just sitting there with no base going down right now? It's been sitting there for 3 weeks that way.
We have needed to be in there to put the field nets up. You can't drive, once you start the base, you can't get a lift in there. So they just got done with the netting last week.
Yeah.
Or this week.
All right, so we just wait till this week with no base.
It's what we scheduled and I pulled them up based on what we had scheduled 2 months ago. Based on all the dates we had, they're meeting those dates. Bill, they're not sitting there waiting for Brighton Schools to tell me to come here tomorrow. So they will be here on Monday to do the base.
What's gonna happen if they're not?
we will push to get them here. Bill, I understand. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. If these guys give me commitments, there's no teeth in the contract if they don't meet their commitments. We continue to call this company. It is the owner that we're dealing with. It's not like I can turn around and get another guy to do it on days' notice. So
Check with any other companies?
why would I? He's going to be here Monday.
I don't know, Bernie, because I guess they've had such a stellar reputation showing up on time like they did
This
the
is-
last
this-
two tracks. So what gives you idea they're gonna do it
This
this
is a
time?
whole different subcontractor to do the base. This is not the guy, this is not the ones that did the tracks. And yes, on the track system, we did talk to Goddard also, and he wasn't able to do it because he was too busy.
Okay.
So
So it's still gonna be done the 19th, then, providing the panel gets here the light.
So there's two, so right now the fields, the turf is scheduled to ship on the 7th, with them starting the week of the 10th, after the field base is done, which is about a 20-day, which should put them right around the 16th or so to be done, of November, to be done with the turf. What we don't know right now, and based on a series of emails between Brevard and DTE will not schedule their work until all the work of the panel is done. We've asked them to schedule it right now based on an assumption that if it was shipped today, we should have the panel early next week.
Can't you bring in a generator for the opening if we need to be?
You'd have to get, I mean, you could bring in a generator. I don't know that the building official would allow a building opening just based on a
Has
generator.
anybody looked into that?
We haven't had to just yet, but we can. You know, this is new news today that we got that the panel's supposed to be here. There's
The
been
panel's
shipped.
supposed to have been here 8 weeks ago.
I don't disagree with you.
So what's the big word today? You know, it means nothing in my opinion, because it was supposed to have been here,
I agree with you.
how long ago?
I agree with you, Bill, and it's frustrating. Went to look for a car. I can't get a car because I can't get a chip. You know? Can't sit down at a restaurant because there's not enough wait staff. This isn't just us that's telling you something that
I'm
we're not.
over the whole pandemic thing, okay?
I am
Let's
too,
get
but
on
it's-
with your job and what you get paid to do. Let's get moving.
I'm over it too, Bill, but it's the reality we live in right now.
So
So the
Could
idea
you-
is that there is a really good chance that we will be able to open we'll be able to have the opening on the 19th. The big change, the big thing is if we see the panel show up next week, it's about a week to get it installed, and then we can get a hold of DTE and get that work going.
Okay, could you just explain the DT part of it for the rest of the
So
board? Just
DTE, once we get the panel installed, DTE has to bring their equipment in to connect it to the grid, which includes boring under Brighton Road and installing a transformer and connecting up to the building.
So, and they'll do that when? What are they waiting for?
They won't schedule it until the panel is installed. They have all the equipment ready to go, but they just won't bring it out there until the panel is done.
So as I'm looking at that, I'm seeing two different kind of flows that have to happen. The kind
Yes.
of the field turf track is one flow, and then the panel, the electrical work and DTE. These can be done independently. They're not,
Correct.
they have a flow within them, but they're not connected
Correct.
to each other.
Yep, correct.
Thank you.
But the DTE cannot be scheduled until the
Right.
panel arrives.
Right.
And
And those
that-
three,
that's-
that
The
has to be
panel
in that
is
order.
the big piece. But even when that does arrive, DTE, you know, we got to get them, they have to be on
I don't know
it
what their install is,
ASAP.
probably
And
3-4 days.
So
to
far, I'm
install.
not familiar with a date that Bavaro has missed. They said it's gonna be open the 19th, and so far, that's the date we're looking to, right?
We've not changed anything at this
That's my
point.
point.
We have a electrical
Yep.
panel that is in flux. We have a confirmation that it's left the factory. As soon as it lands, it'll be
So
installed.
far, at this time, you're still on track.
I think we're just making everybody aware of what the situation is and what the risks are.
is there any other questions about the field house?
Well, DTE is a question for me because they have no guarantee. Once we call and say our panel's up, they could be a week, they could be 2 months.
So DTE is their own
They are.
entity and should
It could
we
be
run
3
into a one-day storm, they could push out a week. We have no answer other than we have confirmation from them in an email that this is a high priority. They're very aware of what Brighton area schools is trying to do with this and that they're going to try to work with us. They've confirmed that. But I can tell you, I just dealt with them on another project, and when the storm came up last week, everything pushed. So it's just, I think all Bernie's trying to let you guys know is that there's a couple risk factors out there and everybody should be aware of it.
Historically, they've had great service, but again, it's scheduled by them. That's hopefully our need will be able to meet it.
Correct.
Other questions about the field house?
Not a topic I want to spend any time on in this meeting, but we need to discuss what the opening is going to look like if it happens on the 19th. What are we doing?
Sure, I can just give a brief overview. Met this past week with our BARC staff. They're pretty heavily into their activities, so I need to know how much they want to be involved and how much they would like to do. Do they want to do the whole thing or just do a partial with it? The other idea, depending on what their feedback is to reach out with our PTOs and approach it a little bit more like we do with field days. But the big thing that we want to do is we want kids out there active, having fun, enjoying running on the fields and participating, being in this facility. That's kind of the vision within it. But so we've had some initial BARC's taking a first crack at it, and then we'll work with PTOs on what might happen after that.
Maybe we could have a part of the even with the hard forming down, kids could be on the road back.
Absolutely.
But you never know. So
Well, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to showcase programs.
everything.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I think that the target audience, I mean, it's any children, but I think younger students that, might take part in activities and might, swing a golf club and hit into, the simulator and, do some sprints on the track and then, kick some soccer balls on the turf and just participate in a whole bunch of different things that will be offered in that building. So that's the idea so far.
All right, I think we're moving to B, the other updates on the project.
So just kind of going into the high school, one of the other subs that we've had issues with this summer is the paver ASI. They started out with a strong project manager. They got started correctly at Miller, got that done right away. They switched the project manager on us. We spent 2-3 weeks with them telling us they'd be out here. Nothing was happening. We talked to the owner. We got the other project manager back about the 1st of August. We got we focused on all the key things that needed to be done for parking, for all the schools to get open. And we're left with two pieces of work that have to happen right now. One is the 7th Street paving, and that's going to happen this weekend. And then the following week, there's a bunch of concrete that they still need to install. That's going to happen all around the district too.
So they have all
There's-
summer long to get this done.
Yes,
Now
they
doing
did.
it Now.
Yep, they did.
On that asphalt. I don't know if that's good. Yep.
I have a question. On the 7th Street at the end of the school there, that's just that short section, right? Where it
Yeah,
goes-
that's short. It's that short section, kind of what you would think is the end of 7th Street to the end of the building there.
Which is need to be done
Yeah,
forever.
It's nothing but patch right now.
So the question I have is then, are you going to divert traffic for the first 2 days of school then and
No,
run
it's
back
gonna
around?
be done
that?
this weekend.
Well, you're going to drive on that asphalt. How many inches of asphalt they're putting down?
They're putting 8 inches of asphalt down. So that can be driven on pretty much immediately.
By passenger cars, not trucks.
They do it all the time on road work.
It'll be blocked off for the weekend though,
For the
right?
weekend.
But
Yeah,
you
but
know,
it'll-
it's messed up, they'll come back and fix it, yeah.
I doubt
So
it.
you saw that crappy curb that they just decided to pave over.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. So that's their spec and so they're good with that. They're going to put asphalt down Saturday then?
They'll put it down Sunday. They'll dig it up tomorrow and then, or Saturday and place asphalt on Sunday. This is pretty typical what the paving companies do at the end of the season. They just pave nonstop. Because it rained, Tuesday and Wednesday here, so they did not do any work there. So they're,
Have they
The
done
weather
the
looked good
other
this week.
material out yet to get the composition, what's under that mess? Have they done a sample? If anybody going to do a soil density study, is anyone going to do any of this? Or are we just laying asphalt?
That spot has not been done. The Miller has been done. So it's a good question. We'll,
Well, it's not just a question. I'd put a stop on it right now if it hasn't, because here's the problem. We'll have the same problem we got right now shortly. So we need to know what's underneath that mess to see what they have to do for surface and do a soil boring and know what they have to do, because you'll have nothing but the same thing you got shortly unless you do that. I mean, I'm good with asphalt. I just concrete that stuff these days as much as it's not any different in price. That section could be concrete going right in between the asphalt there, just one patch. But that's just my position. It's already scheduled for asphalt, but somebody's got to take responsibility for long-term that's going to live in this town for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years and know that we just shelled. How much is that going to cost, that piece of asphalt?
I think that was a $70,000.
no, that wasn't that much. That was an alternate that we put together. I think it was in the 30s.
Still $30,000 of taxpayers' money, and if we had to spend another $200 for soil boring and know the density and then know how much 22A needs to be underneath it and how much compaction, because we don't know what's under. It's a mess. That's why it's the way it is. They patched it, filled it, patched it, and it continues to sink. Right? I mean, I'm good with it. It needs to be fixed. We've been waiting for years to fix it. Now we're going to rush it in on a Sunday, then drive on it on Monday. We've been trying to fix it how long? 8 years.
Yeah, I was hungry.
I was going to know, I mean, for 8 years or so, we've talked about repairing that.
I think honestly, I don't know if it's the base that's causing any problem. It's just been argued over for years on whose
Gonna pay for
responsibility
it.
it was.
Yeah, it was the
So I
city
think
or it was ours.
It just deteriorated. The asphalt needed to be dealt with. I think there was arguments over whether it was the city's or it was ours. And
I'm good with it, except for this preparatory work.
I understand.
I'm good with it.
And we did do, soil borings on all the other projects. This one wasn't added. It was later than working improved soil boring stuff.
So as long as the board's okay with it, they know what they're paying for it, and if they do it again in 5 years, they know why, right? And if we drive on it too early, you'll do it again soon too. If they drive some trucks over that are loaded, on the first day after it was done, you'll be putting new asphalt in. It doesn't hold up. Usually you try to stay off it for 3 days.
Right, if you're doing that on Saturday, will the testing company be out there?
Yes.
Density?
Yep, they will be.
So they can give us
Yep.
the numbers.
Yeah, we have testing companies out there.
So you'll
Yep.
have the.
Yeah, they gotta meet, there's certain criteria. What's that?
It's a road.
Great. They have certain criteria that they have to meet when they're placing the.
Road, roll test, right?
Yep, they'll do proof roll and, yep, they'll all do
So
that.
they're prepared though to get it right and not just asphalt it, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay.
So what other board member questions? This is the list of work that's still underway. Are there questions on any of these that you have for the team?
So when's the light post in the back by the stump center gonna get, created?
I don't have an exact date for that. That we've looked at. We need to get Livingston over there. They're gonna adjust the leveling bolts on that. I don't know when it was hit or if it was hit, but you just can't go and push that piece over and push it back.
Okay, but it's been like that all summer long. Why haven't
Understood.
you fixed it?
Because our priorities were the school buildings to get those open.
Where is this light post?
There's a light post in the
Up by
back
the
by the
STEM
STEM center. I don't know when it got,
Up front of the greenhouse.
we're assuming it got hit while we were doing construction over there.
It had to be something big to do it.
Yep.
Passenger car probably wouldn't do it.
When's the manhole cutouts gonna be filled?
Week after next, not this weekend, but next weekend.
So they're gonna be jackhammered, they're gonna be concreted, they're gonna be barricaded, and then when will they be able to be driven on?
Monday,
Okay, and that date is what date?
October 1st.
When are the battery chargers gonna be installed?
I'll have to find out, Bill. I don't know exact date on those.
Okay, when's the landscaping behind the STEM center wall at the front door gonna be completed?
Landscaping, where?
The landscaping behind the STEM center wall, it's in the front door at the STEM center, the poured concrete wall, when's that gonna be completed and taken care of and straightened up?
That's been done.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. That's the first time anybody has brought
Why
that up.
argue with me, Bernie? Let's go out there and look, and let's get everybody's opinion to see how it's been taken care of.
It's the first
And it's
time.
gonna guarantee you, they're gonna say it's not a very good
Bill,
job.
all
So
I
if
can
that's
tell
your
you
way
right
of
now-
doing quality work, then I guess that's it.
Bill, all I can say is it's not been on any punch list. It's not been given to me in writing. This is the first time anybody has said anything to me about it. Andrew, from IDI, has punched out that lot and
Oh,
and
like he's
assumed
a
it was.
rocket scientist himself, so I can see that.
Honestly, Bill, you guys hired them to do that job. I have to follow
All
that.
right, when's the seal coating on the loading dock area going to be completed?
October 1st.
When's that light post going to be backfilled back there in the back parking lot that was tore up when they tore up the pavement, they tore up the electrical line?
That'll all be done by October 1st.
Why is everything, it's been all summer long.
Bill, they just tore that up like week after last. That
Okay,
electrical
so it
box.
takes 3 weeks to get it backfilled and repaired?
Yes.
This is at the bus garage.
Oh, this is out back at the high school.
We have to replace the electrical that got
What's
cut.
going to happen with the step at the loading dock?
I have no direction to put a step in at the loading dock.
Who told you to take the step out?
It was never in there to begin with.
Why not? You said it was going to be repoured when I asked you about it.
It was never on the drawings.
They were just.
They were just sets there.
They were just like.
They were Home Depot precast steps. They were there.
They kept going back.
I asked when it was, you said it was going to be poured back in place when they poured that area. That's what you told
It
me.
was not on the
directly
drawings.
phone, Bernie.
It's not on the drawings. We did not put it in because it's not on the drawings. And
Well,
somebody
eliminate
asked if we
it.
wanted to add a stair, and I was told by the administration, who's I'm supposed to take direction from, not to put the stairs in there.
Okay, so who told you that? Michael?
Yes.
You said don't put the step in?
I think there's a little bit of confusion because there's two sets of steps. There was a step on the east side that was poured in or whatever that wasn't necessary. We had eliminated that in the early drawing process.
Yep.
You're talking about a step that's over on the south side
Mhm.
that was not a step there. It was some sort of pre-made step that was there, so.
So obviously somebody had it there for a reason because they used it. Now all of a sudden it's gone.
What is it for? The kitchen people use it to get into the kitchen.
It's for the
Is there
kitchen
another way to
workers
get
to
to
be able
this?
to get up
About
and
5
get
feet
off
away
the
from
dock.
that, there's a ramp to walk up.
There's a ramp 5 feet from there.
It's about 5 feet. Am I correct on that? It's
Yeah,
about
not
5,
far.
it's about 5 feet away.
Did the step have a handrail?
No, we do not, we don't have any,
Be done correctly.
we don't have any design,
Rise.
we don't have any design for the handrail, and we never got a bulletin for it.
Did anybody talk to food service and ask them their opinion?
I did. Talked to Mr. Browder, and he said he likes it. He said it's convenient, but
So
it's
somebody
not.
just made the idea to eliminate it without talking to him.
Well, they didn't eliminate it. They weren't actually concrete. What'd you call it?
They were precast, they were precast concrete steps.
That were put in there were temporary?
Yeah, you can slide them around.
Okay.
But they were concrete.
Yeah, but
So
they were
that
not
makes
put
no
in
difference
by
what type of
construction.
Step it was supposed to be corrected with a proper step and a handrail.
It wasn't on the drawings.
You told me it was gonna be done, Bernie.
It wasn't on the drawings.
Well, honest, okay, whether that's true or not, either way, I mean, if it's not on the drawings, I mean, obviously it would be an extra and we'd have to approve it, right?
Well, who eliminated it?
I have no idea who eliminated it. If it's not on the drawings, it just never made it.
I
on the
didn't
drawings.
eliminate it. You didn't eliminate it. I don't think any of us board members eliminated it.
So the direction was
It
not to
needs
put
to go
it,
back.
not to put another step back, is that right, Mike?
Yeah, I don't think the designer ever, I mean, it was just a temporary step. I don't think he
Right.
planned to put it back in.
And there is a ramp within 3 feet of it, you're saying?
It's farther than that.
Or 5 feet?
Yeah, it's a vehicle length, width of a vehicle.
It was there for a reason.
If we want to get a
I
design
think you
to
were
it, we
given
can.
direction not to do it, so you didn't do it, and that's fine. If we want to have someone draw up a plan for it and get it approved, then let's do it.
Why wouldn't that have been something we would have been asked for by the designer?
I can't answer for the designer, but I think we should get
We
an
can vote
answer.
in keeping.
I think we should get a design on it and see how much it's gonna cost, and then everybody can decide what they want to do. Sound good?
I don't know who eliminated it in the first place. That's my point. We certainly, as board members, can't eliminate things and add things.
No, but his map on this whole thing is a drawing. And if it's
Quite
not on the
frankly, it
drawing-
was an illegal stairs anyways, because it didn't
Well,
meet
it
any,
didn't have a
it
rail,
didn't have a rail, it was
That's
too
why when I
high.
called you to make sure it was gonna be done correctly.
I had one question on that. I saw a driver climbing up that wall the other day.
Yeah.
Somebody put a step down there so you could get it.
That-
Yeah, now there's a
that
little
is- That's
plastic.
gone.
That's gone now. So is that, so the point was though, it's a dock height setup where but it's a dock height setup where they back up to it. And I guess that's the decision, is that what's needed where those trucks are. Like you said, you walk up around to the ramp, back your truck up, then you have to walk around the ramp to get to the dock instead of just walking up at the dock, right? Is that the issue? So you can't walk up at where the back of the truck, as driver gets out, he has to go
If you
around.
pull in the food truck, the driver will has to get out, go around, and go down to the dock to get up. If he's trying to help, someone's trying to bring stuff out and load that truck, and the driver needs to help, all he would do is step on that step and go up on the dock and help load the trucks, okay? That's, all I wanted was a proper step with a handrail there so someone didn't get hurt. And I was told it was gonna be done.
So we get a look at it, we'll get a design, and we'll get something added. If it's a convenience thing and it makes sense, then we'll add it back in.
All right, thank you.
What's gonna happen with the bus garage lighting? When's that gonna be completed?
That should be on Monday or Tuesday.
When was it supposed to have been done?
I didn't have a specific date over the summer.
Oh, they had all summer, but we'll get it done now. Okay. What's gonna happen over at Hilton with the lighting?
I just got a bulletin today
What's your bulletin?
to take out lighting.
To take out what lighting?
I can send you the bulletin.
What's the bulletin say?
I don't know. I assumed you guys looked at it.
I never saw a bulletin. You guys see any bulletin?
What are we talking about?
There's some lighting that they wanted, some of the old lighting that they want to take out and add another light to match the new lighting that went in there.
Exterior?
Hmm?
Exterior?
Exterior lighting, yep.
Thank you.
Have you guys been by Hilton?
Where is it? Yeah, it's at home.
So,
Because the designer didn't fail to say remove existing, so now we have new lights, old lights, and
Standing side by side.
Huh?
Standing side by side.
they're all over the whole,
They're all over the place.
they're all over the place. It looks horrible.
Can I back up to the bus garage? So on the bus garage, the mounts or the monuments, whatever we call them, the bases for the light fixtures.
Yes.
We yanked the big ones out, right? The ones
I'm sorry, what's
we
that?
yanked- We yanked the big ones out that were in place.
Yes.
We couldn't reuse those bases.
No,
Why?
we had to rewire everything.
Engineer said they were too cracked up. He didn't want to use them.
Okay. All right, because that created another wiring thing. So the actual bases were fatigued.
Yes.
And you saw those, Scott? They were bad. So then basically when they ripped those out, it tore up the wiring to go with it. Those things were
So-
They took them out themselves.
Yeah.
They got
Yep.
They can save the wire.
And even though it didn't show it to put the plugs back in, they did put the plugs back in. That wasn't on the drawings to put the plugs back in where the light fixtures were.
So the electrical engineer didn't bother to put the electrical outlets for the buses.
to heat the
They were
buses.
not on the drawings.
Jeez.
I thought all of
Serious.
those, I thought those were in those other bases.
They're also in the light bases too, the light bulb bases
They
too.
were in both.
They're on both. Yep.
But there'll be a proper
Yep.
arrangement for the cords, so they're not all.
So we did get the electrician to do that.
How much extra was that?
I don't have a quote yet. I don't have the final pricing yet.
But initially though, in concept though, it was possible they'd be put up without them.
Yes.
That's what the drawings called for.
50 buses. Without power to heat them up.
You thank Scott Huff for that.
Was it the right ones?
There's 4 light posts. I don't know if that one on the very end had one.
All the ones stayed and plugged them just before with the nice.
Okay. So they have,
There was.
In all fairness,
they had plenty
Mike,
of plugs.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there superintendents on these jobs?
Yes.
Are they the contractor superintendents or are they your superintendents? How do you guys
Both.
do it? It's both?
Yeah, there's a foreman on every job, and then we had 3 superintendents that ran the 6 or 7 school sites that we had going on. Was there somebody standing over everybody, looking at everything at every moment? No, because we only have 3 superintendents.
I get it. I travel amongst all kinds of jobs all day as well. I guess what I'm looking for is, there has to be some accountability when there's somebody out there that's managing the job or overseeing the job to go, hey, if we're removing lights or if we're installing new lights, what's happening to the old ones? Why don't we get a clarification on that before we even move forward? That's what I'm looking for. I mean, that's the role I take where I do my work. And it seems like everyone's just going blind on it. But
No, we knew it, when we took the lights out, we knew there was plugs there, and we talked with Scott and said, do you need the plugs there? And he said, yes, so.
No, I'm talking about the removal of Hilton, I guess, that, I
Ones
can't
that are
even
still-
imagine putting up new poles without knowing if I'm demoing the old poles. Hey,
There were poles that were shown to be demoed,
okay,
and we did,
okay,
and then we put all the new ones up where they showed to put new ones up. And when you put them up, there's old poles that are near the new poles.
are
That
they
are still
going to
there.
be used and lit?
Quite frankly, from my perspective, when I look at it, they're next to each other. You don't need both of them.
I guess, and that's the thing, so we're putting up new poles, 5 feet from it, there's an old pole, something's missing here, that's what.
We asked the question, and now we have a full bulletin, because then they walked, Mike and Scott walked it with the design team, and they determined that there was a whole set of lights that didn't need to be there, that were right up against the building, that still were the old style. So, and then I got a bulletin.
They haven't switched out the main parking lot lights to LED lights yet to match the.
There's a lane in the dirt, I think.
Put on.
Aren't they
So
laying in
there is a
the-
process here, but,
Right.
you know, part of the issue that we have with the electrical is we only had one electrical bid. Part of that is because, I don't know if you guys remember, a year ago, I was pushing to try to get this out to bid, but we had to, with the drawings, you guys put a hold on the drawings, and I didn't get the drawings till December, and we didn't bid it out till the following year, till the beginning of this year. And that really limited the bidders that we got. And we got a smaller electrician that doesn't have a lot of horsepower. Quite frankly, if we had him last year, the Scranton, we would have been in big trouble. Luckily, we had Motor City that year to jump in and take care of all those issues. They were able to man up and get additional manpower out
But
there.
again, Bernie, it's not the electrician's fault. It's the quality of the drawings that this stuff would have been included in when it would have been bid. And we wouldn't be coming back now asking for additional monies. It would have been all part of the bid that we would have approved in the first place, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Aren't the new light poles still laying in the grass over there?
At the transportation center.
No, it helped.
No, those are up.
They're up now.
Yeah, those went up a couple weeks ago.
We still have to add to it.
How they work?
Transportation and front lines that are on both.
Yep, those are on the bulletin too, so
For transportation.
for transportation,
But
replace those
the
ones. in
lighting
front.
system is an improvement over what we had.
Pardon?
At Hilton, the lighting system's up and running, it's proper. Do we have to do anything to it? I mean, we
It's
make
gotta be done
changes.
now because of the darkness of the kids at school.
Like I said, it's gonna need to be working. So how's it working? Did anybody go over and look? 100%?
New light poles are in.
Like, okay, well, we should have made an improvement, let's hope. And those monument, and those bases for the light poles that have all the unused fixtures, are those lighting now still? They still powered up?
Yes.
So we're lighting them right next to each other?
Hmm.
So then, why didn't we use those bases over again and put new fixtures on those bases?
The new lights were in different locations.
Like 3 feet.
No, like eight. I mean, I'm assuming that there was a light study done with these new light fixtures, and that's where they came up for the placement of where they needed those lights. Because these are now LED lights compared to the globe lights that you had out there.
I'll drive by tomorrow, let's see how they look.
So,
So, I mean, you want to make sure it's good. It's safety lighting and everything else. There's a lot to that. And you did the grids on them?
I'm well aware of the trials and tribulations you have when you're managing people who don't work for you. It's very difficult.
But we're paying them,
It's
though.
more of a psychological job than it is anything else.
Did you guys do
I understand, but but it's certainly more difficult than it ever was. But I would just like to say, I'd like to see maybe some foresight, maybe somebody going out and looking at stuff like this. I mean, we're kind of at the end of it, so it's a little late in the game, but I think it could have been caught if somebody went out there and went and put some paint on the ground and went, okay, we're putting all these new lights in. I don't see anything that says remove them. Maybe we should get an RFI on this and find out what's going on.
we started this back in July.
Right.
And to your point, we don't bring everything to the board.
Right.
We've gone through hundreds of RFIs in the media centers. I have people in there looking for those things, chasing them down. We've had done a lot of extra work. We moved power. We've moved,
Right.
carpentry work. we've redone a lot of stuff, not redone, but we've caught a lot of stuff prior to doing it, because when we open walls, and I'm sure you're aware, when you do a renovation, you open a wall, you don't know what you're gonna find behind there.
Yep, I agree.
So we work closely with Jason and his team on several issues to try to figure out how to make it work with the existing conditions we had there. So this is not like the only item that, and we've been chasing it down the way we should, and it came up, we put an RFI in, or we questioned it. You guys looked at it, you said, let's put new light fixtures in. I have the bulletin. I'm getting the contractor to bid it. Light poles are gonna take probably 12 weeks to get. So.
But did you do like at Hilton? You did a engineering study with the lighting.
I did not. That was the design team.
So somebody did. So they knew where all the light poles were, but they knew where the photometric grid. Okay, that's done on any of these. So that should show all the reflection. It should show how it reflects on the neighbors' houses, how it reflects on the building, and show those existing light poles. So I mean, that's the problem. Like you said.
Like I said, I would assume that they did it, but I don't know because they don't share that with us. So keep in mind, we're the contract, we're the constructor, and we build what the drawings show us to build, and we ask questions when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm just saying that stuff.
Fair enough.
Good, thank you.
Other
When are
questions?
these clean outs gonna be extended in the STEM center for them to be able to be operable?
The cleanouts. Which cleanouts?
The ones that I pointed out to you and Brad that needed to have extensions put on them so our maintenance guys could clean them out if there needed to be.
Again, I don't recall ever seeing a clean out that you pointed out that we needed anything. I'll check with Brad to see what we
I'll
got
be
there.
very specific. It's in the glass wall, Bernie, where there's a clean out and there's no way to get in there to access the clean out.
Oh, this is where the pipes.
Oh, where the piping is?
The piping.
One of the struggles that I've had on this job, to be quite frank, is the number of verbal directions I get and nothing coming in the follow-up from multiple sources. I try to chase down everything that I can, but walking through people, and you should take care of that. I get a ton of verbal direction around here and nothing in writing. So, and even texts are tough too. It should be in an email, and just so that we can have a paper trail of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Why don't you carry a pen and paper down with you and write it down when people tell you to do, ask you to get something done? I've
Well,
never
I
seen you
think,
do
I
that
think
once.
what I understand him to say is he needs one person to go to who
So
answers.
who's that person then?
I think that we decided that was Mike and
Well,
Dr.
is that the
Elko.
case? This is the first I've ever heard of that direction. So all information goes, all right, I'll call Dr. Elko every time I have an issue then. No problem.
I'd say email it or text it, so there's a paper trail.
Huh?
And then
Why don't we-
it's clear trails to how it's.
Why don't we
started.
do email, carbon the whole board on it?
Yep.
And then I can just forward it.
Then there's no denying what was said and what was
I
done.
mean,
And that
seriously,
way-
why does the entire board need to know when the extensions for the cleanouts are gonna be taken care of? Or why they haven't been?
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is,
Well, my
the
point is,
paper
I mean-
trail to us is just so we know something's going on. We don't have to have a meeting like this to find out about it. And then we can watch if we so desire to see how it's resolved. Then it also gets it off of his back. He knows who he's got to take direction from. And then he's not answering to 4 or 5
If things
people.
were getting done on time, Ken, we wouldn't even be having this meeting.
Agreed, but that's, there aren't too many.
There we go.
We've
We've had
There aren't too many contractors on
stuff
time right
taken
now.
care of. Now we're
So-
still at the end, hours, still trying to get it straight.
I absolutely agree with, he should have one person. I think it should be our leaders and, we get informed about it. Whoever finds it should inform them about it so they can direct it to him as well. I don't think we need to have, 4 people talking to Bernie. He is one guy and he's running a lot of work. So I think that's a very reasonable request. You want to get orders from one person and you want to know who to give the information to. I think that's very clearly those
I
two
will
people.
guarantee you that will not speed up anything any quicker.
It
So
may
there-
not, but at least there's no denying what was said, right? It's good for
Yeah,
us, it's
right.
good for them too.
You're right. That's why
It
we
helps
bring it up
everybody.
publicly, and then there's no denying.
So I think you can take from that talk to those two and they'll make sure we know about it. If we find something, we'll tell them, they can tell you. That way it's going back and forth down the same pipe.
It is installed, that situation is installed per design and was not on a punch list. So,
Fair. No, you're fine. Okay.
When's
Anything
the
else?
kinetic flooring gonna be done?
We're having issues with them. They're, right now unhappy with the excavation. They're feeling that it needs adjustment, even though it was coordinated between the architect and them and in the bid document. So we're working on that right now to see how we resolve that.
Has anybody surveyed it, make sure that it's done correctly? What we were told to get it done to?
Yeah, that's the problem, is we coordinated with them before we ever went out to bid. We put the drawings together based on that coordination, on what they required. The people that we coordinated with at the company no longer work there. And so now we've got they've got a different thing they're coming back with. So I'm still trying to resolve that. Even today, I got an email. So doing my best to resolve that
You already
nightmare.
paid?
We've given a deposit on the build, so it's more of a design issue at this point. So I've got to coordinate now with Bernie and Jason to see what we can even do to make accommodations.
So to make that simple, the hole's not right, right? According to these new people.
Based on what they're now requiring it. I thought the original disconnect was, whether LED lights were gonna be on the side of it. Which I, in passing, said, yeah, that sounds good. But apparently, I thought that was gonna be on the wall, but it was along the edge, which the excavation wasn't equal to. And I said, okay, well, then just delete them. And then they came back with, they didn't feel like the drawings were, or the excavation was appropriate for what they needed, which I was completely dumbfounded by because we had coordinated all of that to begin with, so.
Okay, so you did your due diligence, now they're changing their mind, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we don't have an answer on that, we gotta figure out what needs to be done, right?
It's-
We may not get it.
Huh?
So we may not get it.
We will get it eventually, but the question is, how do you coordinate it?
At what point would we actually get the product?
Well, it's under manufacture, but the question just becomes what size.
I mean, that would resolve it. If you had the thing sitting there, you can measure it and figure out what's, so obviously that couldn't be done the way it had to be purchased. But, all right, I don't know how you could avoid what happened.
Neither do I.
yeah, we went out there and confirmed that it was installed per the drawing, the depression is there, is per the drawings.
Did they actually give you, shop drawings for it? Or was it literally just a letter that said this and that? How was it done?
That was done by the design team to coordinate the information they had and
So they put together a print.
Jason does have copies of emails saying that this all works and we're good
Right.
from the company. So,
Okay, so the company confirmed what they put on there, all right.
yep.
Any other questions on this, or can we talk about this furniture real quick?
Yeah, let's.
So just real quick, I know there's some frustration about delivery dates and I do, I think if we remember, go back to the beginning of summer when we were bidding this out, I did say that there would be something that's not going to be done by school time. I think what we focused on was getting the media centers opened and all of them opened on time. We got all the furniture moved in. Yes, we have a few issues. We have some windows that aren't in there. We have some doors that still aren't here. We're managing all those, trying to get them here. Based on the supply chain issues that are out there, not just in the construction industry, I'm not surprised of where we're at, but I think we did comparatively from what I talked with some of the other schools that we do, we're in pretty good shape because a lot of programs a lot of school programs, they just did not do anything this summer because they knew they wouldn't get any of the electrical equipment till next summer. So I know some people aren't happy with that answer, but that's a reality.
No, the problem is real, I agree. It's, I know personally of at least 5 to 6 projects that are in the same boat right now. Unfortunately, we all want to open at the same time, we all want to get this thing done, and I get that. All you can do is stay on it, be diligent. I imagine you're making phone call to all those people at least every other day, trying not to, and they probably don't answer your call after the first 10 or 15. I'm well aware how it works. All you can do is stay at it, and I appreciate the updates. It is good to know, if we're not driving through them every day, it's hard for us to know. So I think at the beginning we talked about it. Why are we here? I think it's just so we can all get on the same page. That being said, push hard. That's all we can ask you to do. Dr. Outlaw, do you want to start talking about furniture?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah. So I left in place for you guys.
You guys all good with me? Thanks.
Furniture. So
Vernon, could you turn that
when we,
Yeah, thank you.
the board approved moving forward the Scranton scheme and the health docs, we did indicate at that time that there would be approximately $250,000 worth of furniture that was going to be needed for those spaces once complete. I did just get last week from T2 the furniture layout plan and the quotes back from both KI and American Interiors. You do have them here. I did include for you both the layouts where the furniture goes, as well as the quotes for the furniture that we need. And bottom line is, it's about $243,000 worth of furniture that we're looking to add here. Broken out, most of that is at Scranton Steam. The health office is a smaller space, obviously, with less furniture that's going to go in. Now, there are some more, equipment-related items that go in, say, the health office. For the most part, those are in there. So there's supply stuff that's got to be put in there, as well as just some equipment.
That's not part of this, though. That's additional.
That's not part of this. So that's some additional stuff that'll still be coming.
So this is contingency money.
That's what it's, this is contingency.
Right, the Scranton Steam and the health office has always been out of contingency.
How much more do you think that with the equipment you're talking about, are you
The
expecting?
equipment side of things, we were figuring when we put through the original to move forward, we were thinking about $250 on the furniture, another $250 on the equipment side. So I think that was what the board was informed of, and that's really where we're tracking right now. I've got quotes. I've been working with Mr. Darga on the equipment and supplies side of things. So from Pocket Nurse, we did break down what had to be bid and what was just able to be ordered as supply items. So I've got that ready. We got to get a bid on the street for 2 items. One, I think, is the head walls that go above the where the medical beds go.
The stations.
Yeah. So all those are enough that they have to be bid just because of the number that we're ordering. They're not, each one over 26,000, but just because of the number, I felt we had to by statute, we have to bid those out. And the other one, I think, is the resuscitation Annie dolls that go with that stuff. So those are the 2 things that need to be bid and brought back to you. Then the rest is about $200,000 worth of equipment. Some of it is not bondable. I'll just have to pay for it out of the general fund because it's consumable type products. It won't be.
So the head walls, is this bulkhead you're saying that goes above to, what is that?
It's behind that help or the bed,
It's
like
Like
you
where all
see
the
in a
equipment
hospital,
hooks up,
where you supposedly plug in all.
plug in your oxygen and whatnot. So we're talking metal studs and drywall.
Yeah, it's
I think
all-
it's just a unit that sits.
It's
Oh, it's a
a
unit.
unit. It's a unit that attaches and it's already been.
It's already
designed
prefab,
for
just put it in.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. My question for tonight is just, obviously, lead times are what they are. I prefer to get this approved and move forward. I don't like doing that. So I brought it as future action. We can wait and bring it on the 11th. If you're comfortable with it, I'd be more than happy to get it approved and ordered. Or if you're willing, I'll order it and you guys can approve it on the 11th if that makes you more comfortable. I just want to see where you guys sit. We're gonna need it, and I just got it last week, so.
Do you have any indication of what kind of lead time you're gonna have on it once it's ordered?
It depends on what it is. I think KI's quote quotes usually indicate lead times in them. And it depends on which manufacturer. So, the stuff for Scranton Steam, KI, anywhere between 2 and 10 weeks, which would pretty much line up with when we're gonna have construction.
We had 3 competitive bids.
No, these were bid by national contract already, so I've already met the requirements that I need to meet. So I feel comfortable moving forward just with the dollar amount. I don't want to do it without the board having a say so.
We have to approve it before you order it.
Well, he's
Unless you
the
give a
option,
green light.
he orders it and then we approve it on the 10th. So you cancel the order or something changes at that point. Is that
Why don't
that?
we just approve it now and have them order it to be done?
Well, we've already
I'm just
approved,
asking.
right, well, that's why I wouldn't bring it up.
I
We
think that
already
would be the
approved it.
preference, but we would want to honor the process of having a future action.
Yeah.
And we don't want to,
Correct. We already approved the total overall amounts. This is basically under that subset, which he's done the bidding process, and we know Scranton, we got to move because we're already behind 6 months. So I would suggest that, the students, and we're finding a couple of weak spots over there right now where we have overflow in some programs and we don't have places to put the kids, according to my coaches that are on site.
So could I suggest, are we comfortable? Do we have consensus to go ahead with him ordering
Ordering but voting.
and then we'll vote on it on the 10th?
I'd feel more comfortable voting on the 10th, but start the order so that we can start the process.
Do you need more than a consensus? Is that good enough?
No, I'm good with that.
that's all we need right now.
I
That's
just want to
great.
make sure you're
Perfect.
comfortable with that idea and that I'm not,
It's under the amount that we asked.
it is in line with what we told you from the get-go. I'm comfortable with everything's here.
So Dr. Outlaw, you'll make sure that's put on the agenda for the 10th. Is there anything else on the bond topic? Okay, that moves us for future action. A policy transition from Neola's to Trim. Dr. Outlaw?
Board has met 5 times previous to tonight to review. There's a 506-page document that is on the website under the committee reports. Obviously, the board has had access to everything there, but that's there for the public. We'd like to continue to get that out there for the public so that they can review it. But we'd like to bring it for full board approval on October 10th and open for questions or comments or any concerns that you may have.
That gives us 2 weeks to review. With any questions, get them to yourself, I would imagine. If anyone has questions regarding that.
Any additional questions?
Lot. So then I think one of the things we said then is that we would say like a week and the policy would give you like a week or so just to have the turnout time changing.
From the last meeting, I think the plan was that on October 10th, assuming that the board was okay, if it was approved, that would be effective 1 week later. So on 10/17, it would give us 7 days to do any of the making sure everything's, online and all of those details are there, any final arrangements. So
Because this policy is all pretty much aligned with the existing policy. All the questionable ones we kind of waited on. The ones that we had options for, we waited on.
correct. This is the entire package that you have now, the clean version of the package.
It's going to be voted on as a group.
Everything will be voted on as a package.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions or discussion on this topic? Yes.
Does this letter that we have here from this education department from Florida have anything to do that we look at in our policies? It's dated July 28th.
This, the one that our
Where did I get this out?
comment from the public, the thing from Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
that,
something you gave to us? This is.
that was from our public comment tonight. It was presented.
Part of our board package.
No, no, no.
Yes,
He handed these out.
that was a letter that the Florida Department of Education sent to educators or school boards in Florida. And he was just sharing it as a point of reference
Thank you.
for his comments.
So there's nothing to do with our policy.
Nothing to do with their policies. Nope.
Okay, so no further discussion, we move forward to B, that is the discussion on the resolution of the board on the topic of marijuana. Mr. Conley?
I had two things on that for future, but I wanted to also, let's talk about, first was I had a detail come back regarding our robotics stuff going on through all the schools, which is really kind of cool. Elementary, these are numbers that are coming in from either parents or parent coaches or possibly even teachers. I don't have the names of how this worked, but 22, 23 robotics information. So 114 elementary families apparently are interested. Could be 16 teams. First Lego League in grades 4 through 6 at Maltby looks like 90 plus families interested, 5 plus teams. Scranton, it appears 3 teams to date. And then there's currently 59 interested students, and they're set up to, they can't take any more than 45. So anyway, that was really good to hear, especially with all the STEAM centers getting a start now, and a lot of kids interested. And it's just, and I had met with Michael on our original budgets from prior years, and we looked at this information, and so the parents are going to keep us updated. And my point was with the parents, they said, here's the numbers: total anticipated 254 students in the district, and then the potential, the way they were looking at it, to 342. So I think they've got confirmed 254. So that's great, from going from zero, almost zero, during a couple years ago, to growing at that level. So proud of all those parents and parent coaches and volunteers. That's a huge commitment from the community and parents. So I wanted to share that good news with the board. I think it's great.
A lot of
How
really,
many are in the, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, a lot of positive feedback from parents.
Yeah, just
from
for something.
their
for young
students and
people to do
everything,
get
so-
engaged in.
How many are
It's really-
in just the high school group?
We're back up to over 50, it looks like.
Awesome.
Right, high school number 68
Awesome.
from 2.
Yeah, I think, what was it, 16 teams at the elementary level?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
It's-
114, yeah, 16
Great.
teams.
People are very interested in it, which is great.
And we
news.
have some very committed parents and teachers
Mhm.
that are really excited about being involved in it.
I think, with the new steam rotation, I think that only helps to add into the future.
Oh, we're excited, yeah.
That'll probably grow, because I know they use, Lego and stuff like that, and that ties right in with that first Lego League at that age group.
When we've been through it as parents, a lot of us have had our kids go through it. But the point is, though, back to healthy things for young people. I wanted to share that great news, and that's where, as we roll into this next topic, that's really why I brought it. Is that as a board, we talked about this, reaffirming the resolution, and it's very important that we talk about it in that context, I understand as well. The information that I bring tonight is really the same type of information that's in here. And if we want to change this, if we want to modify it, if we want to do more within the schools, at some point, I'd love to, I mentioned it to our law enforcement before, not necessarily in the board setting, but how we would, build it. And I think I did mention it. We were talking about our retired police officers that come to work for us, but having programs within the school that would teach the students, not just for them being there as police officers as protection, but in their time that's available, teaching and having and creating safer places for kids. And as they go out into the world or leave for college, they'd have a better chance at survival with this mess. Because the reality is, like again, in our resolution, we talk about that, this THC rating of 50 to 80% higher than when it was 1970s pot. It's an unbelievable story of how potent this stuff is. It's not a toy. And in the idea of us not supporting our community, I have, what I'd like to do, if we could, Dr. Outlaw, is put up those stuff from the CDC real quick. It talks about the same thing that's in our.
Just as an alternate that the board may wish
Yeah,
to consider.
Yeah, because it's information additional to what
okay.
we have. And we're not changing this, but it's real important. And I think the information is key. And we can just roll over and say, we're not going to worry about this stuff, or we can take a proactive plan, just like our robotics, and protect these kids that are in this.
it could be, again, this is how they throw the football. Well, we have all different things from our band, our performing arts slash our play people, and all those things are just as critical for those kids. Choir, right? This rolls into that. So our job, I think, as a school board, I'm sure of it, is to get the best environment possible for these students, and whatever we can do, one little piece at a time. And
Apologize, I'll get it here in just a moment.
And I would encourage other board members, and not just me, to please, bring whatever you can to the table to help the students. Whatever you've learned as parents and whatever you've learned in your families. And some of us are exposed to more than others.
So you
know more than
want me to pull up this
Let me ask you this
CDC?
question. We're all here, we've all agreed on this resolution,
Yeah.
and I understand it.
Correct.
So what's the objective of,
Looking at this.
Yeah.
Because this is current information that will not only back up the resolution we already have,
but we already believe in the
We already
resolution.
have the resolution,
we do, but we haven't reviewed this information
but
from the
that doesn't, how does
CDC.
that impact our resolution? Because I thought the discussion has to be centered on the
It doesn't.
resolution.
The board member can bring wherever they want to the school board.
No, not necessarily. I think we have some legal guidelines we have to follow.
Well, what are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything. I'm
I
afraid
would
of,
disagree with that. What are you afraid if you click that file right there and it says what the government says? You afraid we're not doing enough?
I'm afraid that we're not following our obligations in terms of what we can legally share in a discussion. I think we need to follow our legal advice that we've been given.
Well,
This is for future action, right?
yes. So really what I want to do is do it in board reports, but we've moved it to future, which is fine. So basically, now this is how it is. I brought this to you for review and you don't want to look at it. So
I'm not saying
Now,
that. I'm
hold
saying
on.
that it's not, should not be part of this. If it's not change, how is this impacting our resolution is my question.
it may not impact the resolution at all. The
Then it
idea
should
is
not be part of our discussion,
well,
because our discussion is supposed to be around the resolution. Is this correct, Dr. Outlaw?
Yes,
Is that the
as a
legal advice?
collective board at the board table, that is the advice that we need to make sure that it focuses on either reaffirming the existing, modifying the existing, and then the third category that you could talk specific to a proposal would be if you collectively wish to entertain doing a letter to the editor, you make that's okay as well. So those are kind of the three buckets for you collectively here at the board table. As individual board members out in the community and social media and all that, you have tons of leeway because we're private citizens.
right.
But that's the collective limitation here that
And
we've
and
been.
that's fine. And a board member can bring this opinion forward, and it doesn't mean the board has to act on it. So truthfully,
So would you mind if I just ran this by our person real quick, and then if he says green light, then we do it on the 10th when we come back to, and that's like at that regular meeting?
I would suggest that that's a good idea.
Is that okay?
And I would like to
I just don't want to give you
I'd
bad
like to make
advice.
a
I'm not a
note, though.
lawyer and,
I got it.
you
I'd
know,
like to make a note, though. Who's opposing us doing this tonight? And I had two people here, and they both opposed. They didn't want to do it. But the rest of us said whatever. And I think that information is key. And I think that this community and this board is elected by this community, and not presenting this information is not good, because you could help.
I think
The health
these
thing,
are
hang
some
on one
veiled
second.
threats, and I think we need to
I have the
better be
floor right
careful
now.
of how we're talking.
have the
Because I
floor.
think we have,
I
we have
floor,
the,
Dr. Krebs.
yes, you do, but
But
you know
you're
what?
interrupting me.
We have the
Please don't
resolution.
interrupt
Then
I've been
please
so
speak
good
about
these
the
days.
resolution. Please speak about the resolution as you're entitled to.
You're not entitled to speak to me right now. Ken Kenny's the vice
Go
president.
ahead, Mr. Khan.
So in the future, please don't interrupt me when I'm in the middle of my thought, because people do that intentionally, get you off track. And you're a trained professional, you know what that's about. So in this situation, what I brought forward is a potential opportunity for our school system, our board, elected board, to assist in making our schools a safer place and safer for children. Now, is it different than our resolution? Yeah, it could be, because there's additional information in here that's important. You have people here that work in the law business. They're very familiar with the number one priority in crisis in Brighton schools, and it's marijuana. Nobody wants to talk about it. Okay, but it's the number one issue that we have to deal with, be it vaping, be it the pens, be it hiding in the bathrooms. I interviewed one of our seniors, and she said all about it. They got the bathrooms locked down during the school days. Anybody here know that? They say they don't. So they can't use the bathrooms and locations in the school, and they have to go to certain areas. You're aware of that, Mr. Stahl?
I know of the practice, it's actually pretty common in many schools.
They can't watch all the bathrooms.
Right.
So, there's some things that are acceptable and some things that aren't to me. And she said, she goes in the bathrooms and there'll be, in the girls' bathroom, 4 girls in the stall, all smoking a joint. You want to be reality here. And we're trying to curb that the best of our ability. It's not an epidemic, but that's why we work together to get another law enforcement to help us, because we want to protect those kids, and people dealing drugs in our school should be prosecuted, right? So we all support that. So I'm willing to absolutely do what's right for the school board to do that.
So
Have a
I
look at
will
those.
ask,
Sure.
just really quickly, I will ask that, and then I'll get that feedback to everybody as soon as I get that. I'm just going to say specifically.
And you
my-
can send those and
My
also-
guess would be that if this was a discussion about marijuana as opposed to about the proposal,
Right.
but there's a fine line. So let's get that legal advice. And if he says green light, I don't think that you have any objection, because just to reiterate, the resolution of opposition was a 7-0.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
everybody agrees.
include everybody's support. And I think the
So-
disagreement is about just the legal side of it. So I'll
That's
clear
fine.
that
So I
up.
can-
And
So while I get the floor on that issue, then
Yeah.
we can talk about this in our city. The concept to go forward is virtually an unlimited number of places to distribute the stuff on the city streets. So from Main Street to Grand River. And I can tell you that with the responsible parties' information, that there are several places that are under contract right now, should this go through, between Main Street and Grand River and the crossroads of downtown Brighton, that will become places to distribute this stuff. That directly affects us. Okay, and the boundaries are gone. So there's no boundaries. So, they're right next to the Imagination Station. They can be right next to virtually anything. So in this, we take a position, or if we don't, I'll tell you, we need to take a position, because is that what you want for your school system? And in community after community, and in this data that's up here, shows what happens within the communities that have it and have had it historically. And we have witnesses. In fact, one of our high-level elected officials' husband came from a city that this happened to. And what happened to the transformation of the city within 2 years? Okay, now that's the position we're in. We are in a either do it or let it all happen. Let's just see how it happens. Let's just take that position. I hope everybody does great. And we're going to sit here and we're responsible for 6,000 students. And we feel that way, we're just going to let it happen. I don't think that's a good position to take at all. And you can take a attorney's opinion on other topics that are of critical nature and not in support of our students in some past practices, and say, geez, that may not have been the right decision back then, very recently, in positions that the school took. Now, are we going to do that again, or are we going to look out for these kids? And I can tell you that I know we sent all that to everybody, and that's a good start. The board members can review it.
Sure.
And I can do that. And I'll wait to hear back from what our attorney has to say, but I'll still encourage the board to push that envelope just a little bit on the benefit of your kids. And if you can't do that, I'm sorry. There's going to be a risk taken, but one kid in rehab's $100,000 a year. And then they only get, and people here know all these things, but I never hear them speak of it. Then only 20% survive it. The other 80% go into wasteland. And how many youth get started on this stuff, and by the time they're 26, 27, 28, they're fatalities, a lot of them. And it starts right here, and I can tell you about the lady who was in my office. Her son got into it in Brighton High School at the age of 14. He was just getting out of jail, got out of jail a couple of weeks ago. He spent 5 years in prison shortly thereafter. He got 5 to 40, by the way. Another local family, been here forever. Her mother went to Brighton schools with mine, I think. if I remember the relationship, knows her mother-in-law. So, but anyhow, that's how close this stuff is to home. If it's affected you, you have a different approach towards it. If you've had no effect from it, I guess, geez, the world's a great place. Don't worry about it. So I'll leave it at that.
So let me ask you, I don't think there's any board member up here that doesn't disagree with this, right?
We all supported it. I think it was 7-0. I think the question is if we can advocate for political activity in this setting. And I thought the attorney said we should not.
Well, leave the ad out. The ad was just talking about here's the reason I brought the ad. The reason I added the ad to it.
I said
was-
advocate for political
Either way,
activity.
we're looking at for information, you guys. I'm not advocating for, I'm saying I don't want it, but that's my personal position and we can say that. So, but the issue for the ad was the information is contained in the ad that nobody knows about this unlimited shop thing and being able to put them wherever you want to. And I'm telling you, what are we hiding from? We're the elected officials here. We don't need to hide. I don't need to hide from our attorney if he says not to do it because I don't like it. And if you guys are going to cower because the attorney says not to do it, and I mean cower, and let this happen, you should be out marching down the streets and standing in front of your schools and keep this stuff out of your town. And you ready for this? If you do beat it this time, they'll be back next year. Okay, that's already been said, but yeah, then they'll be back the year after that.
So go back around. So
Yes, sir.
we're gonna get a legal ask on whether or not, what we can discuss up here.
Fine.
We still have this on our agenda for future action. At that time, that gives us a good 2 weeks for all of us to absorb what you did send us and take a look at all that information on our own. And we will be coming back at that time to talk about reaffirming, amending, or what was the third option, Dr. Allen?
So,
Maybe tonight you could do the thing about the paper though. Maybe there could be.
so I'm coming back for action to reaffirm the current. Is that,
Well, we have three choices, right?
so reaffirm?
Reaffirm, amend.
If it's going to be amended, I'd love to be able to draft something.
Right.
If there's going to be any amendments to it. And then the third is
Third would be-
if the board wishes to write, they said that you could write a letter to the editor
I would like to do
collectively.
that. Yeah, if we could.
And
Here's the thing,
that, maybe that's something to discuss, but
Here's-
maybe for action, you reaffirm your resolution
For action for the next meeting.
for action, since this was for future. And then,
What does the reaffirm look like? I mean, to me, it means we are going to state in public that we still stand by our resolution.
Correct.
We're not actually doing anything beyond that. We're just going to make that
Which is a
statement
big deal.
public.
yeah,
Right.
correct. So it's reaffirming what your position is, because the last time that you did it was when the council was going to consider it.
Right.
But the way that it was written, it wasn't just for that council. It was encouraging the area to take this stance. So it's reaffirming it. And then for discussion is whether you wish to do a letter to the editor.
Well, will someone do a draft then? that we'll have?
Maybe we could get board consensus on it, but here's the situation, everybody. We all know this. This time is coming soon. Okay, this time of what's going to happen here. So this is time sensitive. That's why I threw it in there last. And I appreciate everybody's willing to listen and take time out of their life to do this. So maybe we could come up with that, because that was a recommendation that we would do. Like maybe we just use this because we've all agreed to it. Maybe we use this for our letter to the editor
That's the foundation of
as
it.
a foundation, and we could do that as a board. And I would think that again, inaction is not good. Action, this we agreed to, can help protect our kids in a way that's fine. I would support a request in, this, if we have board consensus on that, and maybe allow the superintendent to draw something up that would, within this parameter, and then send it out to us and say, do we agree with that, and get it to the paper.
Superintendent though, is it?
So it's going to be a board piece of it. So I'm going to talk to that attorney tomorrow and just what's the best way to talk about this topic? And
That's fair.
And then I want to reaffirm that, because in what we received is that the board can write the letter.
I see.
So I want to make sure that I don't mess you all up by getting too involved. So maybe Roger does it and you all communicate. And but I'll get that information as soon as I can get it tomorrow. And get that
I greatly
clarified.
appreciate it. I think
And then I will
I'm
put that on the agenda as an action item for the 10th. Okay. All right.
That's what it is.
Any more discussion on the topic?
Thank you.
All right, our next regular meeting is Monday, October 10th, 7 PM. Meeting adjourned.
8. All right.
You turn off the camera here.